Hey Bookies! Today I'm going to be going over what I would recommend from my November TBR. So, let's get started. Now this is a video series I've started doing recently, if you've not watched any of my other videos, but basically I take what I've read from November and I give you books that I would recommend from them. I do this because a lot of times I don't get to the stuff that I have on my November TBR, but also sometimes there does. And I also like to point out books, again, that I really liked, especially indie books that I really liked, because honestly, they don't get enough promotion, so I like to give them some more promotion. So the first book that I'm going to recommend, which I actually kind of read in October, but it was on my November TBR, so I'm sliding it in, is The Reckless Kind by Heath. I didn't much enjoy this one. I believe I gave it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, I did. I'm looking at my phone off screen. But I really did enjoy the premise behind it, and I know a lot of people adored this book. But basically, it's about a main character named Asta, who is betrothed to be married to this guy, and she has two friends that are dating each other. They're gay, but when, I believe she's deaf in one ear, but when her betrothed assaults one of her friends, she cuts off all ties. She goes to live in a cabin in the woods with her friends, and basically to make the money that they need to enter this annual horse race. The plot is a little convoluted for me, that's why I didn't enjoy it as much, but I know a lot of people did enjoy this, and it has a lot of good LGBTQIA2S representation, so I recommend this. The next book that I'm going to recommend is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. It is such a gorgeous book with gorgeous writing and stuff like that. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it was a little bit slow for me, but I recommend it because of the representation and the story within it. Basically, the main character, her name is Simi, S-I-M-I. I believe that's how I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry. Correct me. I'm sorry. But she is this mermaid who helps guide the souls that are lost at sea to their journey home. But when a boy is who is still alive is thrown overboard, she breaks the rules by helping him out. It's a beautiful, gorgeous story, and I highly recommend it. Next one that I have that I'm going to recommend is Himawari House by Becker. Now, I'm not entirely sure what a Himawari House is, or if they're even called that over in Japan. But basically, the roommates, these girls, and then one or two other boys, two boys, they all live in this like communal house that's kind of like an apartment style. But it's like a whole house to themselves, where they come, like a lot of exchange students come to stay in the house when they're studying or working, etc., etc. So it has multiple POVs in it, and it's all in graphic novel. And let me tell you, graphic novels saved me for November, but this one was my first graphic novel in quite a bit, and I absolutely enjoyed it. It's so beautiful. Such good illustrations, such a heartwarming story. I highly recommend this one. The next one that I'm going to recommend is The Art of Running Away by Sabrina Kleckner. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. I don't have a physical copy, even though I really like this book, because I'm constantly purging, and I wanted to donate to a free little library for any little kids that wanted to read it, because it's such a cute read. But basically, the story revolves around Maisie. She's 12, and she really loves art. Like, she really loves art. And her friend, like, make this book. Like, she does the illustrations, and her friend does the writing, I believe. But when she finds out that her family's art shop, which was owned by her grandma, I believe it was, is about to go under, Maisie takes matters into her own hands to not only try to save the shop, but to also amend family relations between her parents, herself, and her brother, who randomly left one day a couple years ago. such a cute story. It has LGBTQIA2S representation in it. And it's just like super cute. And it's super quick too. I think it's like 256 pages. So if you are looking for like a quick read, or your kid is looking for a read that's probably going to take them like a day to do, I'd recommend that one. The next one I have up is Passport by Sophia Glock, which is another graphic novel that I think also has like writing. I don't think it's like full graphic novel. But it's such a good story about this girl who finds out her parents are CIA agents, and it details her life in Central America. And what's really, really fun is that the author, Sophia Glock, that actually was her life. It's like a self-memoir. It's so cute. It's such a good coming-of-age story, too, but I really love the artwork. I love the story behind it. Again, another graphic novel, so if you're looking for some, I recommend that one. I believe Sophia also does her own illustrations. I follow her on Instagram, and I believe that she did the illustrations for her book. I know that she's an artist. So yeah, definitely check this one out. The next one I have up is The Year I Stopped Trying by Cait Heaney? I don't know. But basically, it's a really good story about this girl who realizes after forgetting an assignment and not turning it in that sometimes like that it doesn't even really matter. That one assignment didn't matter. So she starts to slack off, and basically she stopped trying. She stopped trying so hard in school. And I really enjoyed the story because I didn't realize until I was in my 20s that a lot of times in high school and now in middle school, now I'm hearing you're pressured to take all these extracurriculars, to do all these sports, to take all of these tough classes, and we're pressuring these kids to get good grades, to get scholarships, to get recommendations, all this stuff, to go to college, to get even more good grades, keep up their GPA, where they're then put into the real world where none of that matters. None of that. I've never had an interview come up where they asked me what my GPA was. I never had an interview come up where they asked me what extracurriculars I did. And it's like, why? Why even try? So that book helped answer a lot of the why, and the, it asked its audience itself, like, why are you trying so hard? But it's not all about, just slack off and have fun. There's a good story behind it. I recommend it, especially if, like, you're a young adult that's going into your junior or senior year, because I know how stressful those years can be. The next one that I have up is I Know Your Secret by Daphne Benedis-Grab? I'm sorry. I'm butchering names today. I'm so sorry. But basically, it is a mystery book geared toward middle grade readers that reads kind of like One of Us is Lying. But basically, 4 kids, 4 POVs. They have all done something either illegal or immoral in recent-ish times. A lot for good-ish reasons. But they've done these things, someone knows, and now they're trying to appease the secret keeper by being blackmailed and doing all this stuff for them to frame another student or a few, and a couple of the administrators of the school for something else. It was actually kind of a fun read. I really enjoyed it for the most part. I just didn't think that the ending was very well explained. It kind of just ended. And it's like, what? But other than that, it was a really good story. So if you're looking for a younger geared mystery, or if your kids they're wanting to start mysteries, that was a good one to start with. The next one that I have that I really enjoyed, I've devoured this book. It is The Lost Legends, or I don't even know which side I'm going to put this on, but it's The Lost Legends by Cait Marie. It is such a good book. Basically, it's told in dual POV between 2 siblings who unfortunately had their mother die when they were young, and their royalty. The mother told the mother told this fantasy story to the girl, I can't remember her name, to the girl character about these pirates that were cursed with immortality and were cast away to this island to live forever. And even after the mother's death, the girl has hung on to that story and, like, kind of became obsessed with it. To the point that when she uncovers a tyrannical plot by her father to take over the other ruling kingdoms around them, that she immediately jumps to action to catches a ship to go and find these immortal pirates to help save the other kingdoms around her. It's a good book. Like, it is so, so good. And I highly, highly recommend it. If you're looking for, like, a sea fairy tale, pirates, not high fantasy, but fantasy, Save the Kingdom-esque. And I actually have, like, the other books in my wish list. So I'm very excited to pick up the series once I have those. Now, when I tell you that graphic novels saved my November TBR, I really mean it, because look, I have another graphic novel to recommend. This one is not told solely in graphic novel form, but there's a lot of illustrations in it, and there's some full page ones, so I'm counting it as a quasi-graphic novel. But this is Dungeon Academy, No Humans Allowed. And it is such a fun read, especially if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, or if you're looking to get into it. But basically, it revolves around this boarding school, where the monsters, like the Minotaurs, the Mimics, the Kobolds, stuff like that, they go to school to learn how to be a monster. Well, how to fight the monsters, which are your human paladin, elf, etc., people that you usually play. It's a fun twist. But basically, it revolves around this little girl right here, who you kind of see is dressed as a Minotaur, but she's not a Minotaur if you can't tell. She was adopted by Minotaurs and raised as one, but she knows she's not. When she's sitting in class one day and sees an illustration of one of the more famed monster hunters, she realizes that that is her mother. And then when her and her friends leave the school to go and save this other group of kids that went to go to this village, I'm not exactly sure why. It's like some sort of like school initiation thing. I can't exactly remember right now. But when they go to try to save those kids, her secondary goal is to find her mother. So, such a sweet book. Such a good read. I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking to get into D&D, or if you're into it and you like books that revolve around the D&D plot. And the last book that I'm going to recommend from my November TBR is Ember of Night by Molly E. Lee. I described this as if Buffy and Supernatural had a baby, this would be it. Because the plot revolves around our main character named Harley, who is living with her sister and her father. Their father is abusive. She takes all of it to save her sister. And she's just living her life, trying to count down the days until she's 18 when she can move out and take her sister from that awful home. When she realizes that on her 18th birthday, she could be used as like this key between hell and earth to open the veil and stuff like that. So demons and other supernatural forces are trying to kill her. This is published by Entangled Teen, so there is a romance-heavy plot, but the action part of it is so good, so I really enjoyed it. I actually read this previously. I gave it a 3 out of 5, but upon the reread, I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I also read the sequel as well. The sequel was so good. So good. So yeah, highly recommend this. But yeah, that is it from my November TBR that I would recommend for you to read. So if you have any recommendations for me, drop them below, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!